Here's Sean McVay after the game talking about the reality that the defending Super Bowl champions have now officially been eliminated from the 2022 playoffs.
This is the reality that we're in, and this is where we're at. There's a lot of things that when you look at it, especially when you get a chance to step back after the season's over, right, how do we try to avoid some of these things? My job is to focus on let's finish up the season with the right competitive spirit, with the mindset and mentality that's reflective of who those guys are in the locker room and who those coaches are, and that's what we'll do. But there's been a lot of things that I've kind of thought about, that I think you can make sense of why you've gotten here, but it still doesn't make it any easier, and it's a very humbling season for sure.
Weird time coming up, too, for the L.A. Rams because Liam Cohen, the offensive coordinator,
yeah, it is a weird,
reportedly going to the University of Kentucky for the same job.
Right.
I mean, all due respect to the University of Kentucky, I would say this about West Virginia University as well. You go from NFL franchise, offensive coordinator, to mid-level college program, same job. Something's weird about that. Something's weird. Now, maybe he actually will be the offensive coordinator at Kentucky because if you're working in that job for the Rams, you're not.
Right.
But it didn't hurt Kevin O'Connell.
No, I hear you. I hear you. Some guys like that college atmosphere better. And let's not forget, too, Mike, even like schools like Kentucky that are, okay, high, mid-level program, SEC team, they can pay a lot of money. They can. I mean, even for an offensive coordinator job, and I don't know what he's being paid. I have no idea, but like you said, he's kind of a de facto offensive coordinator, not the guy in control. So it is a little interesting. You're right. The Rams it's an incredible story, as you've hit it on it all year. I mean, even last night watching the game, they're a shell of the team they were last year. I mean, there's just only a few guys even on the field that you went, oh wait, that guy was on the Super Bowl team on the field when they beat the Bengals last year. I mean, ravaged by injuries to key players, lost players we talked about in free agency before the year, and then it's a team that doesn't have great depth and depends on their stars. And their three biggest stars haven't been out there, the majority of the year. Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald here down the stretch. I mean, they've dealt with it all. Van Jefferson in and out of the lineup. Allen Robinson gone and didn't perform to the level they thought. So that's where it really is amazing. I know we've talked about it a lot, but we've never seen a team fall this fast after the Super Bowl in a non-strike year. And, they played hard last night, but there's just lack of talent on the field for them to get it done.
The Rams were eliminated from the playoffs, the earliest since, or it ties the Broncos from 1999. As the quickest elimination of a defending Super Bowl champion. I'm surprised they weren't officially eliminated earlier, as poorly as they've been playing. I thought that it was Bubby Brister who was the starting quarterback of the 1990.
It was Greasy, right?
Broncos. It was Greasy for 13 games and Chris Miller for 3 games in 1999. But that's post-Elway. So you expected the drop from the Broncos. You expected them to take a huge step back. We didn't expect this from the Rams. This was run it back. This was, hey, Aaron Donald, are you in? If you're in, I'm in.
Right.
Let's run it back.
Right.
Let's go get another one. I think if Aaron Donald had known this is how the season was going to go, he would have retired. He was so close to doing so anyway. Now, again, you have to throw in the fact that he made a nice little pile of money last year and will make a nice pile of money in 2023. But McVay, I suspect that Bezos money looking pretty good in hindsight, the Herb Street spot. And I think it's Peter King who has not ruled out the possibility of McVay still saying, I'm out, and assuming that one of the networks will find a spot for him with one of those big money, Romo, Aikman type deals. And maybe they just wedge him into the booth with Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit. I don't know, but anyway, you have to wonder what McVay's thinking about the future. You have to wonder what Aaron Donald's thinking about the future. You have to wonder whether or not the Rams believe as an organization they can dig out of this hole. And maybe they can do the whole everyone doubts us now, nobody thinks we're any good, nobody respects us, F them picks, whatever the case may be. But this is a problem. F them picks has come home to roost. You got your Lombardi championship, but the bill came quickly. The bill was significant. the interest is compounding daily. And, where's all your young, talented players? They're on other teams.
Yeah.
Where's that first-round pick that you would have had for this bad season you had? It's in Detroit as the Lions established themselves as a potential budding, I don't want to say dynasty. First, you got to win a playoff game, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I got you.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
They're going to have there's a chance the Rams are going to have a hard time digging out of this hole, and Sean McVay is going to have to ask himself, do I want to be the one with the shovel?
Yeah, listen, I don't disagree with you there. You got an aging star in Aaron Donald, and you question about how much longer does he want to go. Matthew Stafford, even though he's in his mid-30s, it's an old mid-30s for how he's been beat up. They've extended themselves with money there. Cooper Kupp, okay, there's a lot of money there, but he's still in the prime of his career. They got a lot of money tied up to Jalen Ramsey. He's not the same top 5 corner that we've seen. He's still a really good player. He's one of those guys I kind of look at that I wouldn't be shocked if he makes that like Charles Woodson move to safety a little bit, or like Rod Woodson did here at some point in his career, and he's awesome at that. But, between that, other players who have left, and then all the things you're talking about, Mike, I mean, it was very thin to begin with. The one thing I'll say about them is just, and I know I know them a little bit and have known them for a while, that crew out there. They are fighters. They are. Just McVay, Raheem Morris, that crew there, they're not going to go down easy. And I can't speak to the Amazon stuff or the TV stuff, but I just know that they will go back to the drawing board. And the one thing they have shown us is they will work and they will be aggressive in their tactics to rebuild their team. It's just going to be, Mike, to like your point, do they have enough assets and things to actually rebuild it here and fill in some of these spots in the offseason? And that's going to, I think, be the interesting thing. It's kind of going to be a line of demarcation as far as teams and state case study is like, do we ever want to go the Rams route? Because like you're talking about, it's come home to roost here, and let's see if they can kind of handle this situation to where they can get a second grasp or second breath of fresh air and still be competitive the next few years.
I think there's something to be said for being strategically and carefully aggressive.
Yeah.
But when you just go all in.
You don't think that was the case?
The Von Miller trade. I mean, look at the Von Miller trade.
Yeah.
Look at what they gave up for half a season with Von Miller.
It's crazy.
They got the Super Bowl out of it.
Yep.
But there's a point where you're doing too much. And it's their own fault that they had to offload Jared Goff. And maybe they shouldn't have. In hindsight, when you look at what Jared Goff's doing with the Lions, maybe they should have just tried to fix him instead of getting desperate and saying, this guy's never going to get us over the hump. Let's give up 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick to get Matthew Stafford and throw Jared Goff into it because we're treating him like an old piece of furniture that we can't wait to get rid of. Maybe they should have thought about trying to fix him in lieu of giving up 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick that could have become great players. I don't know. I'm just saying these are thoughts that they're going to have, and there's nothing they can do about it now. But other teams, as you said, can learn from it. How far do we push it? When the window is open to win a Super Bowl, how aggressively do we try to win that year? And how much are we willing to tie our hands next year and maybe the next year and maybe the next year? Because the memories of those Super Bowl championships will fade very quickly. Even if you have 6 of them, there's a shelf life before people start looking at you differently if your team becomes average to below average.
Well, yeah, right. You're exactly. I mean, you have to win a bunch of them, I think, when you fall off that quickly, right? To at least soften the blow there. But I mean, Mike, it's a big question.
I'm not sure that's gonna. I'm not sure that's gonna fly.
You're
in
right.
Boston,
they want to fire Bill Belichick in New England already. They're already ready to throw him out the door there. So you're right. You're right. It doesn't matter anymore. I've given up. Not what you've done for 20 years and be the greatest coach of all time, and then you missed the playoffs for 1 year, and they're going, and then you went back to it, and they want to fire the guy. But no, I mean, on a serious note, though, seriously. Like, I really, the Rams, I mean, Aikman and Buck, they showed a graphic. I believe it was towards the end of the game, right? As far as, like, right now, available salary cap space for the Rams. I mean, again, I know it's still the 2022 season, and there's going to be moves made no matter what to open up money, but it's a low number. I mean, did I see it right? It was at, what, $6 million, something like that, as far as available cap space? So they're going to have to make some monumental moves, I would think, and probably release a few guys that they don't want to down, when it comes to it. And that's where I am interested to see their tactics and how they go about this.
Well, what did they do after they won the Super Bowl and they're drinking some of Matthew Stafford's big-ass bottle of 1942? Pay everybody. Aaron Donald, big contract. Cooper Kupp, big contract. Matthew Stafford, big contract. Going into the season, there was a sense Jalen Ramsey was like, where's mine? And why not? You're paying everybody else that got you to the top of the mountain. Where's my new contract? And now what they're going to have to do is slash and burn. They're going to have to find guys they can dump. They're going to have to find guys they can trade. They're going to have to find guys they can go to and say, hey, you know what? You were playing great last year. Now you're not. We want you to restructure your contract. So that's what they're going to have to do. And maybe the team that said F them picks is going to be looking for ways to stockpile picks this year and move some veterans to other teams that would value them. They really have to go back to the drawing board. And the good news is they're going to have extra time to do it. One of the excuses, because it was a couple of weeks ago where I felt like the Rams were shifting into excuse-making mode.
Yeah.
One of the excuses was our season lasted so long that it was not a whole lot of time to turn it around with the turnover on the coaching staff, with Kevin O'Connell gone, Matthew Stafford not able to participate in the offseason program because of his elbow. We just didn't have a full opportunity to get ready for the season. Well, now you do. That excuse is gone for 2023, but they got a lot of work to do, Chris. They got a lot of work to do. They got a lot of soul-searching to do. The one thing that they know is that Stan Kroenke will give them whatever money they need. Budget isn't an issue. The issue is cap, and the issue is draft picks. And how do we maybe get more of them because we have given up so many to build the team that won a Super Bowl that is going to be 1 year in the rearview mirror coming up here in the middle of February.
And again, just sitting here kind of looking at their salary cap situation, I mean, they're really tied to a lot of players. They're in a tough spot. They can't get rid of, of course they don't want to get rid of Cooper Kupp, but the Aaron Donald situation, Jalen Ramsey, Leonard Floyd, Matthew Stafford, Allen Robinson, Joseph Noteboom, Rob Havenstein, who hasn't played well this year.
He got a new contract early.
I know, and he's got it for next year. It's going to be $20 million dead cap. I mean, they got no wiggle room with some of these high-priced guys. That's where it's going to be fascinating. I mean, they're stuck with those names I just said there. Allen Robinson, as average as it looked, it's $26 million in dead money next year. He's going to be back on the Rams. He's not going anywhere. So you're right. We know they got the cash, but cash can't buy them out of this one. And that's where it's going to have to be back to the drawing board, stockpile draft picks, low-level free agents that they find, diamond in the haystack, that type of stuff to rebuild their team.
Diamond in the haystack.
Diamond in the haystack, baby.
Flag that one. 7:38 a.m. Eastern, December 20th.
I think it's an old one. I think we've used that before. I think it's
Diamond in the haystack?
I think so.
It may be one that's become deliberate. A deliberate Simms.
It kind of was coming out, and I knew I was going to say it the wrong way, and I just went with it. It wasn't, it wasn't like, I feel like I've said that one before.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.